Hi everyone, welcome back to the Caistrology channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Cailin, and today we're going to be looking at your October 2025 horoscope. You can watch your horoscope for your ascendant, sun, and moon sign. I do recommend that you watch all three if you've got the time, and this is a tropical Western astrology reading, just by the way. If you're wanting more regular astrological updates from me, then you can follow me on Instagram and or Facebook. It's the same handle, which is simply Caistrology. So a little bit of an update for you. I am going to be traveling for the whole month of October. So that means I'm not going to be available for private one-to-one astrological consultations. And just by the way, I'm a tarot reader as well. So I do offer tarot card readings. I'll be back in November if you're wanting to book in a private reading. So without further ado, let's get into your October horoscope. Hi Scorpio Sun, Moon and Risings, welcome to your October 2025 horoscope. Also, happy Scorpio season, and if you're an October born Scorpio, happy birthday and let me know in the comment section below. October's a very exciting and pivotal month for you, and that's not just because it's Scorpio season, it's because we're going to have a grand water trine, and by the end of the month we'll have 6 planets in water, so there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs, clarity, insight, and movement in your personal life on both an inner level and outer level. But as usual, let's start from the beginning. So for the whole month of October, Mars will continue to transit Scorpio in your first house. So this is really positive for things like drive, motivation, willpower, working out, developing muscle, and basically just being goal-oriented and achieving those goals and objectives. On the downside, this can lend itself to experiencing inflammation, headaches, irritability, and in some instances, just like full-blown anger and rage. Moving along though, on the 7th of October, Mercury is going to enter the sign of Scorpio. So it's going to transit your first house until late October. When Mercury transits our first house, there can be a lot of mental activity, racing thoughts, but also it can be a really busy time for you in a professional sense, but also just in terms of things like emails, texts, and just getting back to people. Okay, so on the 7th or the 8th of October, depending where you live in the world, Mercury will form a square to Pluto in Aquarius in your 4th house. So let's just say within 24 to 48 hours of Mercury entering Scorpio, there may be some kind of intense emotions that arise, or perhaps unsettling conversations with family members, flatmates, or anyone that you live with. And it's just a really brief transit. For some of you, it may manifest as finding it harder to have a positive mindset, so just be aware of it. On the 7th of October, so the same day, there will be a full moon in Aries at 14 degrees in your 6th house, and it'll actually be conjunct the fixed star Alpheratz, which is associated with liberation, freedom, and creativity. So with this full moon occurring in your 6th house, for some of you, you may be completing an important work project or work task. For others of you, this can be freedom or liberation from an unsettling workplace situation. So maybe this is resolving a conflict, maybe someone is leaving the workplace who you don't get along with. Some of you may find yourselves having to let go of an employee. That's just for a select few of you. Basically, this full moon is associated with victory. Okay, so winning out over some kind of difficult set of circumstances. And of course, Aries is all about having that fighter warrior spirit. So because the 6th house is associated with our habits and our daily routines, for some of you, this could indicate that in the month of October, and in particular around the 7th of October, you may be overcoming some kind of health challenge, ailment, or maybe even an addiction, or letting go of a bad habit. Now, for others of you, you could be achieving some kind of health goal. So there could be some sort of I guess, situation in your life that warrants a celebration of sorts, because it does look like you're overcoming some kind of problem or issue in the first week of October. Now, on the 14th, actually on the 13th or the 14th of October, depending where you live in the world, Venus is going to enter the sign of Libra. Okay, so Venus will be transiting your 12th house until early November. Within 24 to 48 hours of this transit occurring, Venus is going to form an opposition to Neptune in Aries in your 6th house, but it's also going to form a grand air trine with Uranus in Gemini in your 6th house and Pluto in Aquarius in your 4th house. So we've got this activation between the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th houses in your personal birth chart. Of course, I'm using whole sign astrology here, just by the way. In any case, though, this can indicate that there's some kind of breakthrough when it comes to fears, insecurities, or maybe even issues with family members, okay? Because the 4th house relates to family, and so perhaps there's like an important conversation or correspondence that takes place that allows you to move on or move beyond some kind of difficulty, or I dare say even a grudge or resentment that you've been holding towards a family member, or maybe even towards someone that you live with. It doesn't have to involve other people though, because the 4th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house are all very much to do with our own internal state, our subconscious, and basically things that we're keeping buried from other people, or in some instances buried from ourselves. So it's certainly a time where you can overcome self-sabotaging behaviors and certainly understand your own instinctual behaviors at a deeper level. Okay, so on the 14th of October, so right in the midst of it all, Pluto will station direct in Aquarius at 1 degree in your 4th house. And this is before Venus trines Pluto, all right? So this could indicate that you are knowing what path you want to take moving forward with a family situation, with a property situation, or with like your living situation, okay? So basically 1 degree is the Aries degree, and Pluto going direct is like, all right, I have clarity, I know what the plan is. Maybe it's not going to be easy, maybe there's going to be challenges and obstacles along the way, but I'm committing to this course of action. On the 20th of October, Mercury is going to form a conjunction with Mars and Scorpio in your 1st house, and this will be at 19 degrees. Mercury and Mars are going to form 5 conjunctions between October and March 2026. And basically what we're seeing here is this grand water trine taking place. So we've got a trine to Jupiter in Cancer in your 4th house. Sorry, not your 4th house, I beg your pardon, in your 9th house, and also a trine to Saturn in Pisces at 26 degrees, and that's in your 5th house. So when we have grand water trines, and by the way, this is going to keep building as Neptune enters Pisces and the Sun enters Scorpio. Anyway, when we have water trines and it's in our 1st, 5th, and 9th house, this indicates the letting go and the surrendering to emotions, past feelings coming up, but then also this ability to really make peace with who we are, where we're at, and certainly it can lead to some deep healing, forgiveness, and even unconditional love, whether that's showing that unconditional love to another person or perhaps to yourself. So the next day, there'll be a new moon in Libra at 28 degrees in your 12th house. And new moons are all about a new chapter taking place somewhere in our lives. And we can really consciously plant those seeds and be very intentional about what new chapter we're wanting to call into our lives. So typically the 12th house is more associated with the subconscious, letting go, loss, and isolation. But, you know, of course, there's always a positive side, right? So the positive side to the 12th house is to do with charity, donations, unconditional love, divine inspiration, creativity, such as poetry, creative writing, photography, filmography, acting, plus, what's the other one? Music. It'd be remiss of me not to mention music. The 12th house is also associated with things like yoga and meditation. So if you're incorporating these into some kind of new moon ritual practice around the new moon, which again is on the 21st of October, then you can call divine inspiration into your life. And certainly if you're wanting to initiate a new project, or if you're passionate about one of those subjects, okay, again, so anything creative, writing, music, photography, etc., or yoga or meditation, then you can go a long way with channeling the energy of this particular new moon. This new moon will be opposing Chiron in Aries in your 6th house, and it will also be squaring Jupiter in Cancer at 24 degrees in your 9th house. So we're seeing this T square taking place. So ultimately, you may feel like what you're wanting to pursue in a creative sense, or even deep healing that you're wanting to embrace, or a healing journey that you're wanting to go on, you know, it could be at odds with the actual physical time that you have available. So Chiron in your 6th house could be like, okay, but you've got work, you've got children, you've got all of these commitments. How is it that you're going to go on this healing journey? Or how is it that you're going to find time to follow this divine creative inspiration and pursue whatever like hobbies or artistic projects are tickling your fancy? Now, on the 22nd of October, Neptune is going to re-enter the sign of Pisces. So it's going to be transiting your 5th house for 3 months, and it's actually going to be at 29 degrees the whole time. Literally the whole 3 months, Neptune will be at that anaretic degree. So because Neptune's retrograde in your 5th house, to me, this indicates that there's some kind of I want to say reckoning that's coming through as it relates to your relationship with your hobbies, your passions, maybe one of your children, or perhaps someone that you've been in an on-off relationship with, romantically speaking, or this could be your relationship to your creativity. Okay, so it's like Neptune is asking you to overcome some kind of fear of being seen, or fear of being perceived, or having your creative works put out there. And also this is like potentially a big lesson for you in boundaries with your children, or perhaps with your significant other, because Neptune is about having a lack of boundaries, and 29 degrees is like, okay, but you need to face this thing. You need to really surrender to maybe as it relates to children, them having their own independence and them being, you know, separate from you in some ways, or maybe even keeping secrets from you, but on a different level. Because Neptune is involved in this beautiful grand trine, to me, this is like overcoming issues with exploring your creativity, or maybe your sexuality, because it's the 5th house. This could be indicative of you finally making peace with a romantic situation or partner from the past. So for some of you, that could be like the one that got away. For others of you, this could be some kind of grand moment of healing and forgiveness, and maybe even reconciling with a partner from the past. This could be someone from years and years ago, and it's like, okay, we're finally doing the thing and giving this like one last shot to try and make it work. Okay, so just remember that Neptune is trining you. Okay, where I'm getting this like reckoning energy, or this thing that needs to be overcome, is the fact that 29 degrees and the end of this transit is just basically asking you to close the door on something that started maybe even 14 years ago when Neptune first entered the sign of Pisces. And for some of you, maybe this is like coming out of a period of celibacy, or wanting to be single, wanting to be alone, and then being like, no, actually, I think I'm ready to welcome someone new into my life. So that's another way that that could be playing out. On the 23rd of October, Scorpio season is going to start. So again, happy Scorpio season. Let me know if you're a Scorpio sun and when your birthday is. More to the point, the sun entering Scorpio is basically that 6th planet that's now going to be in a water sign. So I really think there's such profound healing and transformation that is available to all of the water signs, but especially you, because you've got 3 planets now, Sun, Mercury, and Mars, all in Scorpio in your 1st house. So let me know what's going on for you, especially towards the end of the month, maybe between like 23rd, 29th of October. I really think that this is a time where you're able to overcome programmed beliefs that have been negatively impacting you. And this could be for years. Why am I talking about beliefs? It's because Jupiter is in Cancer in your 9th house. It's trining these planets in the 5th house. It's trining these planets in you, your ascendant, your moon, your sun in the 1st house. Okay, so there's some kind of like overarching reprogramming that's taking place. And for some of you, this could be playing out as wanting to completely transform your life in some way, whether that's career, whether this is owning your own business, whether this is starting a family, getting into a relationship. The 9th house is associated with things like publishing and import, export, as well as legal matters. So maybe there's like some kind of legal matter that is finally drawing to a close in the month of October, or perhaps the end is in sight, and that could be coming through in, let's say, January, February next year, after Neptune and Saturn are finally finished in the sign of Pisces. So on the 29th of October, Mercury will enter the sign of Sagittarius, so it'll start transiting your 2nd house. Now, the pre-shadow Mercury retrograde period is going to basically take effect from about mid October, or even 2/3 of October. No, do you know what? I now need to know. I now need to look it up in my ephemeris. Should have looked this up before. Yeah, from the 22nd of October onwards, we're officially in Mercury retrograde pre-shadow territory. So the Scorpios who will be the most affected will be those between 20 and 29 degrees. So Scorpio, thank you so much for watching this horoscope. Enjoy your season. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content on this channel, hit the subscribe button. Also, I am on Instagram and Facebook as well if you're wanting more updates from me in between. And I also post tarot content on there. In fact, I've always got my tarot cards next to me. Anyway, that's by the by. Enjoy the month and see you soon.